Okay, so our Twitter friend rray underscore underscore has asked us another question this evening. He wants to know what's a good and effective way to use titles in Premiere Pro. Now, luckily, I'm pretty good at doing that. I mean, I don't do anything really super dynamic, but I do things that you can do exclusively in Premiere Pro that look really cool. Now, to do this, I'm going to import an audio, something for our audio, and I have actually my good friends Claypex did a remix to When I'm Alone by Ellie Goulding, and I'm going to import that real quick, and that jumps into here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip out a part of the song that I want to use. Now, I know I want to use the drop of the song, so I'm going to go right here, which, I mean, I just know that's where it comes up, so I'm going to mark my endpoint here. That should be enough for right now. I mark my endpoints by hitting the I and the O key, and I'm gonna drag down the audio into my audio track right here, and I'm going to hit lock just so I don't mess with the audio at all. I'm gonna hit the backslash key, and that's gonna make the sequence about as big as it pretty much stretches the sequence out to the width of your timeline. And I'm going to shrink this back real quick because I'm not going to need to play with this bin too much. And I'm going to make a file, new title, and we're going to call this at Premiere Pro Toots. I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to real quick make a title that's going to be as big as I can make it in here, because we're going to do all kind of scale adjustments and stuff like that. And since the titles in here aren't vector based, if I have to scale up something small, you're going to see pixelation and stuff like that. So I'm going to make at Premiere Pro Toots as our title. I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to change it to my favorite font, which is Blackout. And then I'm going to scale this up, and I'm going to go over here to where it says center. I'm going to center it vertically, and then I'm going to center it horizontally, and I could still make that a little bit bigger. So I'm going to extend that past there a little bit, see if that fits in, and I'm going to have to take that down to maybe 160 on the size. And there we go. So I've got my title. We're good to go. And I'm going to drag that into my sequence. So I've got Premiere Pro Toots. Now, one of the reasons I like editing to dubstep and Claypex is because, I mean, it's electronic music. There's a lot of cues in there to do a lot of neat glitches and effects and stuff like that. And it's just very dynamic music, so you can do a lot of cool stuff. So without really knowing what I'm going to do getting into this, I'm just going to kind of walk you through my process when I'm going through and making a title. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it real quick. So the first noise I hear is that rising noise, and I'm going to want to do something with that. So let's see. I think right here, when it drops, I'm just going to cut that, and let's see. What can I do with that? Okay, I have an idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my effect controls. I'm going to twirl down my opacity, and I'm going to lay a keyframe down there, go to my next frame, drop my opacity to 0, highlight those, hit Command or Control C to copy it, go to my next frame, hit paste, go over 2 frames, 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 hit paste, and you get the idea. I'm going to do this until this clip is over with. Okay, and now if we look, we have a stutter edit. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the scale of that from 0 all the way up to maybe 75% to give you an idea, have that rise with the sound that you're hearing. So I'm going to keyframe my scale by clicking this little stopwatch, and I am going to take my scale down to real small, take it down to, I'm just going to key in 0, and I'm going to hit the up key, or down key, or the page down key if you're in a lower version of Premiere, and go to the very last frame of this clip, I'm going to take this down to about, I'm going to back up one frame just so I could see what's going on. I'm going to take that to about 80. I'm going to just make it a nice even number and make that 80%. So now I've got this effect. Okay, and let's hear what comes next. Okay, so I have this kind of sound, and I'm going to be making a lot of weird dubstep noises, so excuse me on that. So what I think I'm going to do is go to the very beginning of this frame, and I'm going to scale it super big so you can barely see, you can't see the full thing. And I'm going to go all the way over to this side until we have the @ sign just poking through. And I'm going to keyframe the position. Go to the point right before it does the, I'm not even going to make the noises anymore, just till this next section. And I'm going to move this over this way until we've completely got a Premiere Pro toots out of the way. So now we have this. So the next noise we have is that neat little melodic noise, and let's see, what can I do with that? Okay, I got an idea. So with this, I'm going to use one of my favorite effects. It is the Mosaic Effect, and I'm going to drop that on here, and that's going to turn it all mosaic-y, if you will. I'm going to turn on sharp colors to get a little bit more contrast out of it. And I'm going to increase this to about 75 in each one. So 75 and 75. So you can barely see it. And I'm going to keyframe both of these. And I'm just going to go randomly through here and adjust the values throughout. And this is completely random, and this is just, you'll see when I'm done with this, it's going to give us a neat digital looking distortion with the text that we have here. I'm going to do two more, and then the very last one is going to be really high resolution. So I'm going to go up to 150, which is going to be twice of what we started out with, and 150, just so it's a nice transition between this and when it comes out of actually being mosaicked. Now we have like a wobble sound, and let's see how much more we got. Okay, now we have like a wobble sound. We're going to cut this off right here, and let's see what we can do with that. Okay, here's a neat thing that we could do. What we're going to do is we're going to take this clip, and in Premiere Pro CS6, you can hold the Alt key down and drag up, and it will duplicate it. If not, just copy and paste your effects so you have two of them on top of each other. And what I'm going to do is go to this, and I'm going to copy the opacity, and I'm going to paste that onto this clip. So, I got to go up here to opacity, twirl this down, and paste this in here. So, paste, and now this one has the opacity keyframes going back and forth in each different frame. So, but we have a clip underneath it, so you don't really see anything going on. I mean, if I take the clip off down there by twirling this, you could see that it flashes on and off. So what I'm going to do is take this clip below it, and I'm going to scale it down to about 80%. And that way, it goes like that. Now, real quick, so it doesn't so it doesn't overlap like this, I'm going to take this third track up here, and you'll see why I brought it up here in just 1 second, because I'm going to paste those opacity keyframes in there again, and then I'm going to offset it by 1 frame. I'm going to scoot it over 1 frame. Let me zoom in real quick to this and scoot it over 1 frame, drag out the beginning, and go to the last frame and drag this down here. And if you notice, it didn't catch this 1 frame because I just drug it out, so I'm just going to manually bring that down. And now what we have is it's going back and forth to a very low, like a smaller scale to a bigger scale. Okay, and I'm going to go to this next part, and I'm going to chop it out. And let's see what else we can do here. I've got, so this is 1, 2, 3. We have 3 different notes going on here. So what I'm going to do is just really easily just chop this up in all 3 of those notes. And then in each one of these, I'm just going to scale and position it in a different place on the screen. So I'm going to take this down here, and I'm going to drag this up to here. And like so. And you know what? I kind of like the scale of that, and I have an idea of what I'm going to do with this. So I'm going to go into this clip, and I'm going to go into the motion. I'm going to paste that onto here. And I'm going to paste that onto here. So all 3 of them are going to be the same. But what I'm going to do is something tricky, and go into my position and take the second position. I'm going to drop that down to right about the center. And then the third one, I'm going to take that down to the very bottom. So with each cut on each note, it goes from here to here to here, and then it goes back to here. And I noticed that it has a little note at the end as well. So real quick, what I'm going to do through here is I'm just going to we're going to use those opacity things that I just did, and I'm going to hit my opacity here, go to my next frame, take it down to 0, copy those. And in a tutorial coming up, I'm going to show you how to make this into a preset so you don't have to do this each time. But okay, we're going to stop this right by the snare. And I already have an idea for this one. We're going to shrink this down just a little bit, and down to about 82%. And I'm going to go get the fast blur effect. And I'm going to toss that on here. And I'm going to keyframe it. So I'm going to make this, I accidentally put 2 of them on here. So I'm going to delete one of those. I'm going to make this just horizontal. And I'm going to go to this point where the noise kind of stops itself. I'm going to hit the keyframe. Then we go back, and I'm going to make this really blurred out. Super blurred out. Over 2,000 blurred out. Okay, with this one, think I got that right. So, no, a little bit early. So I'm just going to drag that back. I'm going to pre-cut our next one too. So with this one, when she says when I'm alone, I'm going to do kind of like what I did back before with this one, where it's just like wiggling back and forth. And I'm going to go in and copy these opacity keyframes. And before I do, I'm going to go like so and drag a copy of this clip below it. And we're going to, if you remember, we're going to offset this one clip on top by 1 frame. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to copy our opacity information. And I'm going to go back into here. I was messing up there. And I'm going to paste it right there. And then I'm going to go to this one below it. I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, cool. So, and then real quick, I'm going to go into our effects bin. I'm going to start typing invert. And it brings up channel invert. And I'm going to put that on here. And real quick, I'm going to jump into our title real quick because I forgot my default is set to just a little bit off-white. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to change that to fully white. So that looks pretty sweet. And just so you can see it, I'm going to go in here and make a new color matte. And it's going to be the same size as the comp, and that's going to be white. So I've got this color matte. We're just going to call this white. And that pops up in our project bin down there. And I'm going to take this and do some wizardry with it. Delete that out of there. And drag this down onto video 1. And now it doesn't work at all. Okay, hold on 1 second. I got a fix for this. Okay, so what's going on is our opacity keyframes from here need to be copied onto the white solid below it. Or you're just going to see the white, and then we have the white Premiere Pro above it, and it's just not going to work the way we want it to. So I'm going to go into our white solid. I'm going to twirl down our opacity, and I'm going to click paste. And now we have a neat strobe effect. And now we have all this crazy dubstep stuff going on. And I already have that cut out. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm really just going to go through and make a bunch of random cuts. And since there's a bunch of really weird and random noises going on, and this probably should work. If not, then we'll just rework it. I'm going to start right here. Well, this is going to be our first cut. And I'm going to type in flip. And we have horizontal flip. Then we have vertical flip. And then I'm going to go to this one. And I'm also going to horizontal flip it. But I am going, so we got that. I got 2 horizontal flips on there for some reason. Okay, so I'm going to delete one off, and I'm going to go into my motion, and I'm going to go into my rotation, and I'm going to rotate that 90 degrees. Okay, so with that one long noise, I'm going to delete these clips and just stretch one out right here. And we're going to do what we did in the very beginning with the clip going across itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it really big. And actually, to save some time on this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go copy that first clip that we had, jumping across, and I'm going to hold the Alt key and drag this over to here. Nope, shoot, it didn't. I'm going to undo, grab our clip, hold the Alt key, and drag this to here, and that worked. Okay. And I'm going to hit the up key to go to the beginning of this one, and I'm just going to make sure our keyframes are going to match up to the beginning and end of that clip. Bam and bam. Drag that down into there. So now we got... Okay, so I'm going to do the Mosaic Effect again on these. I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Because the other one, it was like kind of gradually morphing the mosaic as it went along. But with this one, I want it to kind of cut a little bit and just be a little bit more jittery looking. So I'm going to apply that to all 4 of these frames. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to make sure these are kind of evenly spaced by using the rolling edit tool. And the rolling edit tool can be accessed by hitting the N key. And because there's an odd number of frames in here, it's going to be a little bit hard to get them evenly spaced. So I'm not going to piss with it too much. And then in each one of these, I'm just going to jack up the, just randomize the mosaic values a little bit on the horizontal and vertical blocks. And this one we're going to kind of take down to 4 frames and take a bunch right there. And then on this last one, we're going to jack up the resolution so you can start to make out Premiere Pro Toots. Take it to 110. And 110. Okay. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my Tint Effect. And I use Tint a lot because it's a GPU accelerate effect. Even though I'm not on a computer that has GPU acceleration yet, I still am just used to using it. So I'm just going to go in here and get some random values for this. And for my blacks, I'm going to make that like a neat green color. And looks like it's not really picking up the blacks. So I'll just... Oh, you know what I can do? I think I might be able to go into sharp colors. No, not so much. So I'm just going to go to each one, and I'm going to drag my tint to here. I'm going to change my white to that neat green that we were talking about a second ago. And then this one, I'm going to put the tint on, double-click that effect, and let's give it red, because red's a cool color. And with the very last one, what color can we use? We're going to use this really nice, like sky blue color. I like that one a lot. So now we have a... And I'm actually going to use this point in the song to kind of end what we have going on, because it's just a nice sound to end on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a keyframe at the point I want to end, which is going to be right before this kick drum. I'm going to find where that sound starts, and that's where I'm going to make my keyframe. And you can do that by hitting Control or Command, holding that down, and then clicking on this kind of rubber band looking thing. And I'm going to take my sound down to there and do a nice little fade. I'm going to drag that out just a little bit more. Oh, shoot. See, I started to move my audio, and we definitely don't want to do that because everything's beat synced. And, okay, so. Cool. So, and pretty much what we're going to do is do a reverse of how we got into this. And I'm just going to shrink everything up. And there we go. So got everything shrinked, and I'm gonna go apply our opacity keyframes. Remember our little stutter edit, our Caesar cut as I like to call it. I'm gonna go in and paste those there, and you can see it doesn't go all the way to the end. So I'm gonna go copy all these, go to the next frame, copy and paste those. And I'm going to make this just a little bit elaborate than we did before. And on my last frame, I'm going to hit position. I'm going to go to my first one and just make a marker keyframe to there. Go to my last keyframe and take, oh shoot, I accidentally did position. I want a keyframe scale. So I'm going to take the position keyframe off, go to the beginning, do a marker keyframe on scale, go to the end, go to that last keyframe, take that down to 0, and what I'm going to do is to kind of finalize it is bring my mosaic onto this and keyframe it from the beginning, but I'm going to keyframe it with a lot of blocks. So I got 175 on a horizontal, 175 on a bottom, so you barely notice that I have the mosaic effect. Then I'm going to go to the last frame of my scale, and I'm going to take this down to 5 and 5. And I'm going to use sharp colors. So now, as it gets smaller, it gets more and more pixelated. And it fades off into nothing. So that's pretty much it. Let's take a run through and check this out real quick to see what it looks like. And that's pretty much it. I mean, we could do a lot more with that, but I think I gave you guys a ton of different little tips and tricks and stuff like that you can let your little minds wander and do a lot of neat stuff with what I showed you. I mean, it's pretty much infinite what you can do with text as long as you're creative and as long as you have good music to work with. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it opened your mind to a lot of neat effects and stuff like that you can use with text. And I'm glad I could do this because it actually turned out pretty cool, and I might end up using this as my intro video or something like that. Thanks a lot, rray__. Keep the suggestions coming, and hopefully within the next couple days I can get you guys a really cool tutorial on how to edit music videos in less than an hour. You guys take it easy. This is Tom Larkin with Premiere Pro Toots. If you would be so kind as to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you like what you saw, share it with your friends. And as always, if you have any Premiere Pro questions that are just driving you crazy, all hours of the day, feel free to tweet at Premiere Pro Toots, and I'll answer just about anything that I can. You guys have a really good one, and thanks for tuning in.